Welcome back to the 5% Club. I'm Shayla King, a former C-suite executive turned business and life coach. And this is the podcast for leaders who want it all. The promotions, the paychecks, and luxurious amounts of time for the things that matter most. Each week, I'm going to teach you from my performance and happiness formula what it takes to rise to the top without burnout and overwhelm. Work less, make more, and design a life you love. That's what we do in the 5% Club. Let's go. One of the subjects I haven't talked about in depth on this podcast, but I get asked about a lot, is my health and wellness. How did I lose 35 pounds and keep it off? What do I actually eat? How often do I work out and what types of workouts? What have I done to keep the inflammation down from my 4 autoimmune diseases? And how do I keep my energy up? What do I do when I'm traveling, eating out, busy, stressed, all the normal life stuff? And yes, what the heck is in my green water? So today, I'm going to take you through my personal plan. Here's what I want you to understand before we get into any of it. This part of my life is not accidental. I have powerfully designed every part of my life. My career, my marriage, my family, my friendships, my money, my health, and my happiness. And that is part of that design. The plan I'm going to give you today works really, really well for me. And everyone's exact plan might look different. Actually, I think it probably should. Because I don't believe the answer is for every woman to eat the same breakfast, do the same workout, or copy someone else's perfect morning routine. I believe you decide what you want to become. You create the new persona, you do the identity work, then you intentionally build the rituals and mindset that support that woman and the life that she wants. And then you freaking follow through. Consistently. That's where people's lives change. Not because they found the perfect diet or bought a Peloton, not because they had one perfect routine in the mornings. They changed who they believed they were. They built a plan that fit that life they wanted, and then the results caught up when they started living into it. It's exactly what I did. I went from hot mess mom Shayla, who was overwhelmed, exhausted, 35 pounds heavier, running on stress and coffee and constantly feeling like there was never enough of me to go around, to a woman who is strong, fit, calm, happy, successful, and genuinely in love with her life. That did not happen by accident. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what I do. Take the pieces that make sense for your life, but more importantly, use this episode to start thinking about your plan and make it intentional. What makes you feel and perform your best? What does the happiest, healthiest, strongest version of you actually look like? Inside the PH Lab, we call that making your personalized recipe. And we do it during our rituals section so that you can figure out, what do you need to do on a daily basis? What do you need to do when life gets busy? And then what do you do when you're in a low value cycle? Because when you can come up with your personalized plan, your entire life will fall into place. Welcome back to the 5% Club podcast. I'm Shayla King, your favorite performance and happiness coach. And today's episode is a little different. We're talking about my body, my habits, my health, and the honest version of how I actually got here. If you've been around for a while, you've heard me talk about hot mess mom Shayla. And I'm not exaggerating for dramatic effect. I was a hot mess. I was overwhelmed, exhausted, and 35 pounds heavier than I am today. I was running on stress, coffee, not enough sleep, and sheer force of will. And here's the part I think is really important for high-performing women to hear. I was still successful. I could get stuff done like nobody's business. I could take care of my kids. I could lead at work. I could solve problems. I could show up and perform when people needed me to perform. It's actually one of the dangers of being a really high-capacity woman. You can function for a very long time in conditions that aren't actually good for you. You can be exhausted and still run the meeting. You can be stressed out of your mind and still hit the number. You can feel terrible in your body and still take care of everybody else. And because you can do it, you keep doing it. There was always something more important than me. The kids needed something, work needed something, somebody had a problem, there was a deadline, there was a fire to put out. People needed me, and I had something to prove, a little chip on my shoulder. I'd work out when things calmed down. I'd sleep more when life wasn't so crazy. I'd take better care of myself when I had more time and more capacity. Except life doesn't really work out that way. There's always going to be something. So if you're listening to me right now and you feel like you're in survival mode, you don't take care of yourself as well as you would like to anymore, you don't feel like there is ever enough time or enough of you left for you, I want you to hear this. You're going to keep struggling as long as you keep believing those same things. If you keep believing there isn't enough time for you, your life is going to keep proving you right. The calendar does not magically change first. You change first. What you believe about yourself changes. What you expect for yourself changes. And what you are willing to protect changes. My life looks really different now. I'm strong, I'm fit, I've lost 35 pounds and kept it off for years. I work out consistently. I take care of my body. I'm calmer. I'm happier. I have more energy. I have more money. I have a family I absolutely adore. I'm married to the love of my life, and I do work that I love. I have close friendships. I travel. I have fun. I enjoy my life. And I am still ambitious as hell. That is the point. I didn't trade ambition for wellness. I didn't decide I wanted a smaller life so I could finally have enough energy to live it. I wanted more success, more money, more impact, more love, more fun, more health, and most of all, more energy. It's the and life. And that difference did not happen because I finally discovered the perfect diet. It was not one supplement. It was not one workout program. It was not because life suddenly became easy and everybody stopped needing things from me. I changed. It was an inside job. The way I thought changed. The standards I had for myself changed. The things I did repeatedly changed. The way I treated myself changed. And eventually my life started to look different because I was different. This is where my health story connects to all the work that I do now. Look at where you are right now, and then look at the life you actually want. Maybe there's a bigger job in that life, more money, love helping women make a shit ton of money, a strong body, a great marriage, close friendships, travel and adventure, more time with your kids, energy, peace, and a hell of a lot of fun. Whatever your version is, between here and there, that life are really just a few things. Results, relationships, rituals, mindset. What results do you need to create? What relationships do you need to build, repair, deepen, or protect? What rituals need to become normal in your life? And what do you need to believe and think differently in order to become the person who lives that life? That's the work. And underneath all of those things, there was one belief I had to change. I am the asset. And so are you, my friend. Main character. Your brain is the asset. Your body is the asset. Your physical energy is the asset. Your emotional energy is the asset. Your ability to think clearly, make great decisions, influence people, lead a team, solve hard problems. All of this is dependent upon you being the asset. And you deserve to protect her. There's something I read years ago in Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits that's always stuck with me. In his high performance research, he writes that CEOs and senior executives reported energy levels equivalent to professional athletes. The same energy as a professional athlete. I want you to think about that. We talk about executive performance like it's all intelligence and strategy, influence and leadership skill, but energy is part of the job. You cannot perform at the highest levels indefinitely with no gas in the tank. And this is something I noticed over and over again during my corporate career. A lot of successful men I worked with had no problem protecting the things that kept them performing. They worked out, they played golf, they took the run, they blocked the time. They did not act like maintaining themselves was some selfish luxury that they had to earn after everyone else was taken care of. Meanwhile, so many women have been taught that we come last. After the kids, after work, after your spouse, after the house, after the emails, after everybody else has what they need. We're taught to be the supporting characters. And most of us are the breadwinner now. It's wild, right? Isn't that wild to think about? You are literally the financial asset to your family, and yet you're still putting yourself into the support role. I want you to just think about that for a minute. If it was a different type of asset that you knew, if this is the house that we're going to sell and it's going to allow us to have retirement, we're going to take care of that asset. We're going to maintain it. We're going to get it serviced when things break. We're going to paint it when it needs painted. We're going to make sure that the plumbing and the electrical and the furnishings are all lined up because it's the asset for our family. But we forget that we are that and that our health and our energy is how we are able to protect ourselves and our family. It's kind of a cool way to think about it, right? So instead of thinking you come after work, after your spouse, after the kids, after the house, after everybody else has what they need, and then, if there's randomly 17 minutes left at the end of the day, perhaps you can have them. This is what has to change. You cannot build your best career and your best life while treating the person responsible for creating all of it like she is the least important person in it. You have to put yourself back on the list and you have to build the foundation. For me, I eventually decided to put myself at the top of it because I am the asset. Okay, so what does that actually look like? You've been asking, and here's my personal plan. I'm not giving you a list of universal commandments. I'm going to show you what intentional design looks like in practice. Your plan should be customized to your body, your health, your schedule, your goals, and the life you're trying to create. But it should be a plan, not a collection of good intentions you renegotiate every Monday morning. For years, I tried the all or nothing approach, right? I'd try every fad diet. I would eat just grilled protein and vegetables for months, and I'd work out twice a day. And then I'd eat one cookie and I'd say, F it. It's not going to work. I screwed it up. And then I'd start eating crappy again. I would not ever take time for a lunch and just grab something in between meetings, grabbing fast food on the way to the kids' appointments. And I remember that as I started my health journey, I started to realize even some of the things I thought I was doing because it was faster and easier, it took longer to drive to get fast food than it could have taken something. I could have made something at home. And so part of what we have to do as we're doing this is to slow down enough to make our plan. Because we are creatures of habit. And once we get into those habits, we go for that same thing over and over and over again. And so you'll see as I tell you my plan that I reach for a lot of the same habits, the same foods, the same routine over and over again, because now it's embedded and it's easier for me to choose that than to change. And so we want our default to be the one that gives us the life we love, right? That's the good part of habits, is saying that if I fall to the level of my habits, I'm going to be in damn good shape. Mentally, physically, emotionally, because my habits are protecting me as the asset. Okay? So number one is decide who I am first. This is probably the most important piece of the whole thing. And I want to just really quick, I know you guys are like, mindset, give me something real. And I will, I promise. But what I want you to understand is why mindset's always first. Because there's a $1 trillion diet industry. We all know we're supposed to eat less and move more, and that's how you get in shape. But people don't do it because they fall back to who they think they are. And so you have to first decide who you are so that then the behavior change actually sticks for life. It's the root of it all, guys. That's why I'm always talking about mindset, because you fix the mind, you fix the thoughts, and then you create the feelings that want you to take the actions. Otherwise, you just keep falling off over and over and over again for years. All right. So this is probably the most important piece of the whole thing, and I'm not someone hoping to become healthy. I am a healthy, fit adult. That's what I named it. It's part of my identity now. And that's the identity that makes 1,000 tiny decisions easier. I had in my head what a healthy, fit adult looks like, how they would act, what they would do. So if my kids ask me, Mom, we're stopping at McDonald's, do you want some? The answer is no. Healthy, fit adults don't eat McDonald's. And if a friend calls and says, hey, do you want to go on a hike or play pickleball? Of course I do. Healthy, fit adults always take an opportunity to have physical activity. I don't have to renegotiate with myself every time because I've attached myself to an identity that answers 100 questions for me. When I want to get out of bed in the morning and I go, I don't feel like it today, but I'm a healthy, fit adult. It's who I am. It's what I do. Right? 2, I show up consistently for my body. I work out 4 to 5 days a week, every week, for years. Not because I wake up every morning wildly excited about going to the gym. I love my bed. Like, I have the best sheets and comforters. If you ever need bedding recommendations, like, I have got it dialed in. So let me know. But I love sleeping. I love my bed, and I have it 65 degrees while I sleep at night. So I do not want to get out of that warm, cozy bed. But it's who I am and it's what I do. So I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, every week for years. I actually started this right after my coma. My first goal was, because I had to learn how to walk again, how to talk again after I was in a coma for a week. If you haven't heard that story, you can hear it another time, but freak medical accident caused an air embolism. A nurse made a mistake, put air in my veins. And so I ended up coming out of the coma having to learn to walk and talk again. And so when I got released to start working out, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it differently. Instead of this all or nothing thing I've always done in the past, I'm going to use what I've learned about life coaching, goal setting, getting what you want. And I'm going to change my mindset about my relationship with my body and my relationship with working out. And so I told myself, my only goal is consistency. Show up no matter what. Show up no matter what, right? And so I would do it every time. So I had committed to 4 days a week at that time. I went every time, even when I didn't want to at all. I'd go in sometime, I'd do one machine and I'd leave. And guess what? I was proud of myself. I was building the habit of going. And so that's what I'd recommend to you if you're starting a gym routine. I don't want you doing 2 days, 7 days a week like I used to. I want you to find an amount that you can commit to and you can do no matter what. Because part of what we're building is not actually the muscle, but the muscle of being able to show up and always do what you say you're going to do. And when you become that kind of person, it changes your entire life. I remember at the time I asked my son, who is in kinesiology, is his major, and I said, how long will it take for me to get some arm muscles? And he said, a year. And I was like, what? It takes a year? That'd be 2 months. And I remember putting it online and people were actually really rude. And I just said, they were just mean. If you're going to be a quitter, then don't even try. And you must not be, made out for this and da-da-da. And it was so funny because I wasn't saying I was going to quit. I was just saying I was surprised by the length of time that it takes. But then that kind of shows that there's something to it. And I think it's fun when you think about all of the people that are executives that seem happy that are also fit. The majority of senior leaders that are happy have a regular routine. They're consistent about working out. And I know that that bleeds to success. I know that part of it is because you're willing to do something consistently that's boring for a long time to get results that are good for you in the long run. It's that long-term thinking, right? It's being willing to do things when no one's asking you to. It's being willing to show up when no one's asking you to. And it is taking care of yourself first. And so there's so much about that I think is beautiful, but find a routine where you can go regularly. And the other thing that I like about this is I heard a coaching client who said, I was going to go to school to be a doctor, but I was really thinking I didn't want to do it. And I told my mom, I said, hey, I wouldn't be a doctor until I was 29. I'd be in school for 11 years. And she said, honey, you're going to turn 29 anyways. You might as well be a doctor. And I just loved that. And so it made me think about, you know what? It's going to be a year from now anyways. I might as well finally have a little muscle, right? And so I've never been doing it. I'm not trying to do body competitions or anything like that. I'm just trying to feel strong and feel proud of myself and be consistent and always do what I say I'm going to do and get a little stronger every day. And I do love how my body composition is changing over the years. So my next goal is legs. I've had a couple of knee surgeries. I've had some like hip and lower back stuff that I've been working through with PT and getting really good luck. So now I know that it's going to take a year or two before I really see a difference in my legs. And I'm going for it. I'm not quitting. I'll give you guys an update when I finally feel like I have some leg muscles that I could show you. I won't show you. That's weird. But you know what I mean. And so I think it's just cool when it switches in your brain to long-term thinking, because everything I'd ever done before is always these like crash diet kind of situations. So decide how long you're going to work out for. Do it all the time, no matter what, no matter how you're feeling, no matter if you want to. Go to the gym. Go to the gym. And when you're at the gym, what I want you to do is I want you to lift heavy things. That is my only suggestion for your gym routine. You can figure out what you're going to do. You can talk to a doctor. You can talk to a trainer, whatever you want. But I want you to lift heavy things and plan for at least one more workout a week than what you actually need. Because typically I have about one that actually makes it a little hard to get to. And so I'll take that one chance. But before, I would let any excuse in my brain win for why I didn't have to go. And now it's just one, because I schedule 5 and I schedule 5 to 6 and I go 4 to 5 every single week. Every single week. Number 3, these are going to start going faster. I start the day with mobility. So I'm getting older. And after you turn 40, you start to notice that mobility is actually a real thing. So you might have seen some of those videos where people wake up in the morning and they're doing stretches above their head and they're doing twists. And so I do all of that jumping around. And I do actually have a vibration plate that I really like. And so it's good for your lymph system. It's good to get everything moving. And then moving your spine in every direction before you start your day. I just find it to be a really great way to wake up and to feel like I'm improving my mobility. So that's number 3. Number 4, I keep food simple and protein high. So food, I'd say, is actually pretty boring for me. And I mean that as a compliment. I don't want food taking up enormous amounts of mental energy. And I have 4 autoimmune diseases. I have Sjogren's, Hashimoto's, ulcerative colitis, and fibromyalgia. And so I have to pay close attention to what works well for my body. And I've tried every kind of diet there is. For me, high protein, fewer ingredients, actually makes me feel better. I've tried no meat. I've tried all the veggies in the world. I've tried Mediterranean. I've tried everything. And at the end of the day, I'm a protein girly, and the less food in my gut, the better. So again, I don't want you to follow my plan at all, but I want you to start noticing what makes you feel better. I want you to start ignoring what other people are doing and find what works for you. So a typical breakfast for me is I have a turkey sausage that I make. I just grill it up on the stove. And this is a great example of how things can actually be easier when you do it at home. So I take it out of the fridge. I put it on the stove. It's cooking for 5 minutes. I put some seasoning on it. And then I add pre-cut up pico de gallo to it. And I slice up avocado. It takes like 7 minutes to make this turkey sausage. It's delicious. It's very high protein. And so I try to get, probably like 40 grams of protein for breakfast every day. And I can do a whole episode just on food if you guys want and give you all my favorite. I have like 4 breakfasts I eat on rotation that all have high protein and are completely different. So let me know. And you can always give a review for this podcast. And then in it, tell me what you've loved in the past, and then tell me what you want to see more of in the future. And we'll weave it into what we're talking about here on the 5% Club. Okay, so breakfast, extremely high protein. And I actually eat at different times each day, depending on when I get hungry. So that's how I do it. And then for lunch, something simple that I do is I get a chicken salad mix at H-E-B. It's like their tarragon chicken salad. I think it's delicious. And then I add an extra grilled chicken breast to it so that same amount and the amount of like mayonnaise and whatever sauces that they have in there ends up being like 3 portions instead of the 1. So I get a lot more protein per portion, but I still get some of the flavoring and the tarragon, and I think it has some kind of nut in it and whatever else. And so that's a really good way of taking something that on its own might not have the best macros. I don't count macros or anything, but you see what I mean? And making it much healthier, because half of it is going to be a grilled chicken breast and half of it is going to be that mixed together for 1 serving. And then for dinner, it's probably a piece of salmon or a steak. And I think this freaks people out, but we often don't have sides. We'll put something out for the kids, but Brian and I often just eat meat. And we do that regularly for lunch or for dinner. And We'll eat unlimited. We'll eat as much as we want, but it will just be the grilled protein. And then don't feel sad for me. I'm a dessert girly. Instead of having a side, I would much rather have a bowl of ice cream. I would much rather have cookies. And so those are my like go-tos. My absolute favorite dessert of all time, this probably rotates, but not much, is a chocolate molten lava cake. Yeah, they're delicious. So anyways, I eat dessert most nights, and I would much rather not have a side and have that instead. So that's kind of a typical day for me, but it's high protein, high protein, high protein. A little fruit, a little vegetable, high protein, grilled protein, and real meats. I in a crunch, I'll do a protein bar, a protein shake, but I'd rather just have real grilled meat. That works best for me. But you do you. The principle really is intentionality. It's knowing what works well for your body. It's creating your own personalized plan. And so yours might be completely different, but know what supports your body and your goals and make those foods easy and normal. If I ever go to a restaurant, I'm getting grilled protein, whatever they have. So it's just easy for me. Number 5, keep it simple. So you can call them rules for yourself. I've never thought about them that way, but I do have some go-to habits that just make things easier for me. So at a restaurant, I go for a grilled protein every time. And I skip the bread 98% of the time. For me, I'm going to save those carbs for dessert at a meal rather than a bread basket or a side. And so think about what are those decisions where you normally lean for something that you don't want to, and what do you want instead? There's this girl that kind of like beats people up on the internet. I don't know if you've seen her, but she always talks about like, food is not your entertainment. You are not a preschooler. She has this like crazy annoying voice, but it kind of works. And so I think for me, when I'm at a restaurant, it's not about depriving myself all the time, although like we're old enough that that's okay. Like, yeah, sometimes you deprive yourself because what you want and what is good for you are two different things. And it's important for your brain to realize that, right? And so I don't feel like it's deprivation anymore. I just keep telling myself, oh, I'm a healthy, fit adult, and healthy, fit adults order the healthy thing. So those are just some little things that I wanted to replace habits in my life. And so I used to always go for the pasta, and I'd have the bread beforehand and have a dessert afterwards and then wonder why I was overweight, right? So now I do the grilled protein first. If I feel like a dessert, I'll eat a dessert. If I don't, I won't. But I want to feel good. I want my clothes to fit. I want actual muscle tone. I want energy. And I want my inflammation managed as well as I can manage it. Right? And food is a huge piece of inflammation, a huge piece. I've cut out wheat and dairy for years before, and it helped, but I actually brought dairy back and it's working for me. And nowadays I actually have wheat sometimes too. So I'm not 100% off of it anymore, and it works. And I think part of the reason that it works is I brought down so many other toxins and overload that my body has had that now it can take sometimes, right? So I make a lot of decisions ahead of time, and that is a ritual. And good rituals make the results easier. Number 6, I build energy on purpose during the day. This one is tiny, but I think most people underestimate it. I take little breaks between calls, sometimes 5 minutes. I'll go out into the sun and I'll just like let it beam down on me. I'll walk around. If I only have a few minutes, I'll go from literally the front of my house to the back of my house a few times to get your body going. And you set your phone down. If you have 5 minutes between meetings, don't check your emails. All you're going to do is go into that next meeting more overwhelmed, thinking about everything you've got to answer when you get back. You didn't actually accomplish anything. Let your brain go silent. Let yourself get bored for a minute and get your body moving. So you're actually activating the front of your brain so that you can make better decisions in your executive function. Okay. So little pockets to reset my physical and emotional energy before whatever is next. And if you're ever feeling stagnant and tired or whatever, if I'm getting ready to have a client call, I will do jumping jacks, I will dance, I will sway around, I will walk, something so that I can bring the level of energy that they deserve, right? And so I clear my brain of any worries or anything that I have going on. I get ready to be totally in the moment with them, but it also makes sure that I'm not sitting here kind of slunched and tired because I've had a few calls in a row. Like, I'm going to get my energy back. Like, you're going to get the best of me. And it's good to think about that in corporate careers too, right? Are you taking a couple of minutes to regulate, to get your energy back so you can show up in that next area. And it helps. I always describe it as like you want to make sure that you're not just climbing all day long in your stress and your pressure and going and going and going without those breaks, because your cortisol level is matching that. And if you have high levels of cortisol, your body is going to hold on to weight. So you need to find ways to come down, to relax, to remember that silly little people do silly little things, right? So I use those little pockets to reset my physical and emotional energy before whatever is next. Number 7, I'm very intentional about what happens in my head. This one probably changed my life more than anything else. I'm so kind to myself. I just love myself. I'm so nice to me. And I want to be clear, this is a skill that I built. I wasn't born walking around thinking I was amazing every second of the day, and that's still not how self-love works. But I learned to stop being horrible to myself in my own head. I learned how to notice when I'm getting heated, triggered, worried, insecure, pulled into some story. I learned to catch it before I react. I regulate. Then I think. What actually happened? What do I want? What is the most likely to get me that result? And afterwards, I can look at the result and decide what worked and what did not. That saves me an unbelievable amount of energy by not being mean to my own self, right? And it's one of the favorite things about what I do is I say I want to eliminate unnecessary suffering for my clients. There are ways that when bad things happen or we mess up, that we pile on ourselves. And somehow we think that that means that we care. It means that we're doing the right thing. It doesn't. All it does is pull all of our energy out. Emotional energy bleeds your physical body. And so I don't need to pile anything onto myself. I care about myself. I'm my own best friend. I'm kind to myself when I mess up. And I have enough confidence to be intellectually honest about what worked, what didn't, and what I want to do different. And so that allows me to not come home at the end of the day exhausted and not be up at 3 a.m. replaying that meeting, what I said, what I shouldn't have said, how I let them down. I don't allow my brain to go there. And that's hard work. And I can teach you how to do that. That doesn't happen overnight, but it changes your whole life when it does. I'd say it took me probably 5 years to understand that I don't have to think about things that don't make me happy. You don't have to think about things that don't make you happy, right? Emotional energy is still energy. If you spend it there, you're not going to get to spend it somewhere else. And I'm not going to waste it. I want all my energy for good, positive momentum. Number 8, I protect sleep, recovery, and stress. Sleep matters, stress matters, recovery matters. I have a whole podcast just on sleep that you can check out. And I spent years thinking pushing harder was the answer to almost everything. Just work more hours, just apply more pressure. Now I understand that recovery is part of performance. I don't get extra points for running myself into the ground. Nobody hands out an award because you answered emails at midnight when you're exhausted. Nobody gives a shit. No one pays you enough for it. So it's really important that your goal is to build a life that you want to live. A life that you want to live. Not that is always doing things for other people. So I don't do things I don't want to do anymore. And we can go into all of that another day. But whenever you let go of that and you start doing what you want for your life, that's when it all changes. Okay, any of these layers that you want to go deeper on, let me know. And yes, of course, what is in my water? I'm going to link the products in my show note. I have a special water that I do every morning before the gym and then throughout the day that has amino energy in it and it has creatine, and I will share my entire plan. So cheers to that. I could go 3 layers deeper on almost anything we've talked about today. Food, lifting, inflammation, mobility, stress, mindset, my daily routine, what I use. I haven't even talked to you about supplements, what I stopped doing. And so if you want a full episode on any of those, then leave a review and let me know what you want, and I will oblige. All right. You keep asking, and I am happy to keep answering. But I don't want the biggest takeaway from this episode to be turkey sausage. The biggest thing I want you to hear is this. I used to genuinely believe I didn't have enough time or capacity to take care of myself. I also never thought I was a fit human. I never thought I was an athlete. I never thought I was a hot girl. I thought I was a smart girl that always had a problem with her weight. that was my identity. And as long as I believed that, I kept creating a life where there wasn't enough time or capacity, or I just wasn't worth it to take care of myself. And that had to change. So if you're in survival mode right now, you can buy another workout plan. You can start another diet on Monday. You can buy the supplements. You can get fancy water bottles. But if you still believe everybody else comes first and you get the scraps that are left over, eventually you're going to recreate the same problem. So you have to decide, I am the main character. I deserve my own time. I deserve my own energy. I deserve to feel good. I deserve to be strong. I want you to say it with me. I deserve to be successful and healthy, successful and present, successful and happy. You do not have to choose between winning at work and winning at life. You get both. That's the exact reason that I created the Performance and Happiness Lab, because the career is not separate from the woman creating it. Inside the lab, we work on the things that create the life between where you are and where you want to go. It's results, relationships, rituals, and mindset. Yes, I want you to get the promotion. Yes, I want you to make more money. Yes, I want you sitting in bigger rooms making bigger decisions. But I do not want to help you become more successful while slowly destroying the woman who is creating the success. I want the whole thing. I want your career, your health, your family, your friendships, your money, your strength, and your energy, and your joy. I want you to love the life you have worked this hard to build. So if you're listening to this and thinking, I want myself back, come join us inside the Performance and Happiness Lab. You can find all the details at shaylaking.com/phlab. We are registering for our last cohort of the year, and there are only 10 spots left. So grab yours now so you can join us in September as we kick off the next cohort of the Performance and Happiness Lab, where you get to be a high-performing and a happy executive. Everything that you need to get paid, promoted, and happy. Let's go. So if you need the reminder, you are the asset. Let's go. Thanks for joining me in the 5% Club today. If you're ready to make more, work less, and design a life you love, then go to shaylaking.com and join the waitlist. You'll be the first to know when there's openings to work with me in one-on-one coaching or the Performance and Happiness Lab, my group container where you will learn to be a high-performing, highly paid executive who loves your whole life. I'll see you there.